I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Now, today on the program, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria says it will take Nigeria 10 years to replace 500 emigrating doctors. Unilag slashes fees after meeting between the Vice Chancellor and the students' body. And later on the show, poultry farmers seek government's intervention to prevent collapse, lament economic hardship. Let me report I'm hanging out with Adewale Adeoye. Wale, I greet you.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Nice to see you again.
And we also have a gentleman, Dotun Aladikpo here. Dotun, welcome.
Thank you, Citizen Jones.
So the team is ready. I hope you are. Now let's go. You know, following the death of the Nigerian music artist Ifeoluwa Oladimiji Aloba, a.k.a. Mohbad, Nigerians have begun to sign a petition calling for the ban of the Naira Marley-owned record label Marlian Music. Now, the petition launched on change.org by Mohbad's fans had garnered more than 200,000 signatures as we speak. Meanwhile, celebrities have begun to speak out since the death of the artist who left behind a wife and a 24-month-old child. Wale, here we are again.
Very unfortunate incident. My heart goes to the family of the late musician, his father, his mother, and the little baby, who will not even have the opportunity of knowing his father. I think at 27, for anyone to lose his life, it's a great pain, any family for that matter. This is a boy that in the midst of, in a society where younger people go into crime, go into cultism, go into all sorts of violence, street violence, this young man decided to invest in his talent. And at the age of 27, has been able to reach a milestone. There's no doubt that it's a budding star. It's an asset to the music industry. It's an asset to Nigeria. And losing him at this time, I think, is a source of pain and mystery for the young generation. And we can only hope that this kind of thing will not happen again. And the only way to prevent it is to ensure that we get to the root cause of what led to his death. We have had so many stories that complained of ear problem, and then an auxiliary nurse gave him an injection, and he was hurriedly buried without autopsy. So we hope that Nigerians want to know what actually happened. And he also complained about his managers, about his producers, that he was assaulted, sometimes he was beaten, and I don't think, and even wrote a petition.
I heard he spoke about somebody who threatened him.
Yes, that Naira Marley is mentioned about how he forced him to change his manager, how he was assaulted, how he was beaten up, and he even wrote a petition, complaining about threats to his life. So, and he also at the time contemplated suicide. So it means that he probably must have been going through very traumatic, experiences. And his death may not be isolated from the circumstances, that surround the last days of his life. So we hope there will be thorough investigation, in order to ensure that we don't lose our young people, at the time when the ovation is loudest for them.
Doctor, at a time like this, you are sort of short of words, We've been there before. One death too many.
I completely agree with you. But for me, I think what we should not lose are the lessons inherent in his death. I told the line of my boss here to say condolences to all those affected by this death. Nigerians generally and the world, and worldwide, his music is known. And since his death, he has risen on the charts, on the music charts.
Naturally.
Yeah, meaning that people are looking for him. But what are some of the lessons I think we shouldn't lose here? One, blame has gone to the police for not investigating his death. Nigerians should know that you don't just dump a petition on the police and move away. He was invited, he didn't go. A petition cannot be pursued unless the petitioner is there. Those he wrote against went to eat the call, but he never showed up to back it up. And then this so-called street life that a lot of our stars engage in.
Is it so-called?
Well, that's what they call it, streets. They say they are on the streets.
Yeah, it's not so-called. It's street life.
I don't really understand the definition of street life other than this hooliganism, show of strength, it's at the end of the day, it doesn't augur well for anybody. So we should take a lesson from that. You are rising, and then you are exposing yourself to a lot of danger.
Yeah.
And then number 3, sir. If his so-called fans
are they so-called?
Yes, I'll say so-called, because if they really love him,
yeah,
they should allow us to get to the bottom of this, not all this noise. Because at the end of the day, we will not know what killed that man if we are not careful. If you are talking from all sides, making so much noise, and care is not taken, till date, nobody has told us which hospital was taken to. I saw a young lady who came on a video who cannot be more than 18, 20, claiming to be a nurse in that hospital, perhaps gave him that injection. All of those are things that people will need to sort out. Now, after the old noise, videos have been deleted so that sources can be traced by people who put them up. Who was that guy in whose car he was? Who was shouting, Mohbad is dead, Mohbad is dead, Mohbad, Siko, Mohbad. Oh, that video has been deleted from the original source. If we are not careful, all of this noise will let this guy die in vain.
Okay.
Even if it was the fact that he's been beaten, it was this, it was that, and then became sad, he withdrew and all. We should know. But all of this won't help us. These guys should please let there be some sanity in the system so we can know what.
Doctor, when you talk about the youth, we say the youth lack restraint.
Yeah. Completely agree with you. But in this case, we shouldn't let it be. Okay. Because this is a young man in whose career a lot of people had interest. The man, in the process of doing all of this without allowing, we were told that the man who we saw in about 2 videos orchestrating his beating has left the country. Because there is nothing to restrain him.
Reportedly.
Yeah, reported. That's what they're saying. So there is nothing to restrain him from leaving. There's too much noise everywhere. That care should be taken.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll lose the old lessons we are supposed to learn from this.
Well, but let's look at the backlash. There's this move to ban Malian music, the label, record label. At this time?
Well, unfortunately, there have been odd stories.
And to have had collected over 200,000 or 200,000 signatures.
There are so many old stories. This is not the first old story I treated with, Naira Marley. And it shows that there is a kind of upsurge of public anger, public rage against him. And I think what is important is that he should state his position, let people, the only way he can exonerate himself is if we are able to establish the truth. Him? I mean, Naira Marley, if he can, the only way, because there's a lot of rage against him. He may not be complicit, but the only way is for us to get to the root of the matter. But just like my colleague has said, I think one other thing that is important is that when you are a rising star, it's always good for you to consider the legal aspect of your business. Because in this whole discussion, I've not had somebody coming out to say I'm His lawyer. If you have a lawyer, all the negotiations, all the dealings, all the interactions. Remember, we had this similar case, between Sonny Ade and Abioro in 1974.
Yeah.
And it led to a whole lot of, but because, at that time it was Gani family that was Sonny Ade's lawyer. And they had to go to court, and there was legal basis to confront your manager. So if your promoter is beating you up and all that, if you have a lawyer, there will have been a legal basis to challenge that kind of, situation, which is abnormal. So when you are rising up, there is the need for you to do things in a proper way so that you can safeguard yourself legally and also protect your...
One of the enduring lessons.
Yeah.
In the kind of business they are in.
I said it. These guys need to learn the lessons. It was like he just walked into Malian music and they saw a star in him. And they just know nothing. And when he wanted to leave, that was when the problem began. I don't see a reason why a record label will say you must stay with us. Even those who want to force
there would have been a contract.
Exactly.
And there are terms.
So what it means from what we can see, it means there was nothing. Because if there was, even the record label ought to have gone to court. To say you can't leave us for a breach. But nothing like that happened. So meaning that there was nothing. The guy just walked in, and then also, the point must be buttressed. Signing this petition is not a legal force. It doesn't have any legal backing. It doesn't have any legal force. It's left to government to decide on what to do legally. You can't just wake up and say you should ban Malian music. They should allow the process to run. And the questions that Naira Marley himself has asked, they should be answered. Who was with him? Who took him to the hospital? Which injection? All of those things are going to be left unanswered if we are facing, and like some have said in between, these people are raising this dust. They have something to hide. So we shouldn't be distracted, this police especially, in this investigation. There will be a lot more.
Okay. Once again, from the journalist Hangout studio, we commiserate with the family, both nuclear and extended. All right, to our next story. With the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, under investigation and horse cleaning, if you like, exchange rate, a record high of 950 naira to the dollar, an inflation rate of a runaway 25.8%. President Bola Tinubu recruited the experienced former city banker Olayemi Cardoso as the new governor of the Apex Bank in Nigeria. He is to be assisted by other heavyweights like Philip Ikeazo, Mohammed Dachijo, renowned accountant Bala Mohammed, and young and daring Osora as deputy governors. Dotun, it's a new broom. This is putting paid to acting governor Fola Shodun Adebisi Shonubi, right?
That's what it means. And from reports, the suspended governor has resigned. That is Godwin Emefiele. He resigned last month. Yes, that's good. We've had a lot of back and forth stories. Virtually everybody who is at the top in the CBN has been invited by the Department of State Services to answer one question or the other. I said it when Emefiele was arrested, that a lot of people at the top in CBN will also have to go with him. Because these are people who are his lieutenants. They work together. They take decisions together. Even if the proposals emanate from him, they will discuss it. It can be something we will just sign in his office and pass on. And since all of those policies, none of them had the courage to speak out and quit. then it means they are signatories to it. That's the meaning. And that's why there has been this was squeezed, that was squeezed, released, squeezed, released, and then some of those proposals. One of them on the Naira was actually traced to the acting CBN governor. So, meaning that he's involved in a way, even if the implementation was largely out of his control.
Yeah.
But in all of those, I think for me, we have a reason to rejoice because somebody who has a track record has been appointed as governor. But Nigerians should also be careful not to expect a miracle.
Yeah.
Because that is what we always do. We want something that has gone down.
Are you saying we are an impatient people?
Very much so, sir. We want something we want an overnight
Now.
miracle. Now. That's why you see a lot of us end up with clerics who deceive us because they know what we want. We want miracles.
And they give you.
Well, they give us what we want. But so what am I saying is we should give this new team the opportunity to settle down. Nigeria's economy has defied a lot of logic. And in trying to find logic in this, these guys will need time. We need to be patient with them. These figures we are hearing now, if somebody thinks that because Cardoso has been appointed and on Monday, dollar will come to 700 or 600, it's a huge lie. And that's what Nigerians should have at the back of their minds, that we are not going to have this resolved in 1, 2, 3 years. It's going to be a gradual process.
It doesn't say, Cardoso does not have a magic wand.
It doesn't. It's just the real economy that he knows.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can say, given his antecedents, he's the right man for the job. But what is on the table is daunting.
Yeah. I think, first of all, I think it was a good development that the federal government decided to look for somebody not within the system. Given the experience we have had in the past few months, you don't need any source here to tell you that the CBN currently as we have it is in a mess. It has been heavily politicized and deeply engrossed in partisan politics, which should not be associated with any central bank of any country. The situation where you had the CBN sitting on that seat, at the same time vying to contest for the president of the country without leaving his position, and also raising 100 million naira, from so-called rice growers, which could
just a minute. Yeah. We have Anna Adekunle reaching us from
Ogun
State. Adekunle, I greet you. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen in the studio.
Good afternoon.
I just want to drop a little opinion on Mohbad case.
Okay.
And then it's just as simple as Nigerians should not take this overboard, because the young man himself is not disciplined. The way he has abused drugs and lead to his death. So thorough investigation should be carried out. I'm not opposed to that, but his own personal life is not a disciplined young man.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Adekunle, many thanks. Yeah, we were saying.
So we had a situation where, the CBN was more or less performing commercial functions, dabbling into politics, becoming a tool, a suspected tool being used by, people in power to further political interest, and was becoming very active in the electoral process of the country. So that action of this, the activities of the CBN in the past months led to destabilization of the economy.
Let's clear this question.
Yeah. So
unasked question.
Okay.
Was Emefiele right in angling to be president of the country?
As a Nigerian citizen, he has that right. But one would have expected that the first point of call would have been to resign. And then my own concern was that saying that you raised 100 million naira, contribution from those who are supposed to have received loan. In other countries, that should be seen as kickback. And I think it is morally repugnant.
Okay.
So the point is that the CBN is currently in a mess. And the CBN needs to go back to its core functions of stabilizing the economy, providing advice, to the federal government, and also maintaining international reserve of the country to be able to stabilize, the Nigerian currency. So I think, and I hope, that the new CBN governor will make a difference. But I'm not over enthusiastic, because when Emefiele came in, there was sort of, assumptions. Oh, he went to the best university in the world and all that. But after some time, we just discovered that going to the best university in the world, it does not make you a good leader. It has to do with conscience, having good conscience. What I'm doing, is it right? Is it wrong? Am I serving the interests of the people? Those are the key things that are important. So I'm fascinated by the credentials of the new CBN governor.
Yeah.
But I'm not carried away. I want to see what policies he wants to come out with in the next few months to ensure that the CBN as a strategic partner, in bringing back the Nigerian economic renaissance, it will be able to put certain policies in place that will reclaim the flourishing fortunes of Nigerian economy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. I'm rather interested in talking about the deputy governors. Philip Ikeazo, Mohammed Datijo, Balabello, and Ememosor, the spread.
Well, we've always tried
they're supposed to be experts in their different fields.
We've always tried to ensure even spread of appointees in this kind of situation. I mean, that's good. But more importantly, their capacity to deliver. Anybody who is appointed into a position like this and cannot look at the president and tell him, you are wrong, we are not going to run that way, that person has failed from day one. Okay. Because if this is compensation for them, there was a video before the president was sworn in where he spoke about a few guys that he said he was going to bring on board. One of them was Cardoso. He equally mentioned Wale Edo and spoke about how they did it in Lagos. That gives...
just a minute. We don't want to keep him waiting. Mohammed is reaching us from Lagos here. Mohammed, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, my whole question is that all those old people are bringing about, can't you say a young graduate come up become a city governor? If Cardoso had worked in Lagos State before, what is the achievement? Tell us, what is the achievement? The only thing you have to be telling us that is also, but what we need now is we need an urgent inflation. We are fed up. What kind of government are you running with us?
But Mohammed, Cardoso is not an old man. He's not an old man. And, well, we are talking about...
I also think experience matters.
His bio is not necessarily intimidating, while I had said so. He is not inebriated by his... But can he do the job?
That's the issue. Because that's is the real thing that we have to deal with.
Because as the caller just said, being governor of a central bank of any country is not a child's play.
It's quite different from what was done in Lagos. Yeah. You understand?
Yeah.
And one of the yardstick with which we'll quickly know whether we are going to have an impact will be tomorrow. It has just been announced.
The Senate has to clear him?
Yes. If that his name does not bring a check to some things in the market tomorrow, if he doesn't bring a check to some of those things in the market tomorrow, then we are going to have issues. Because his name will be able to put some things in place.
Okay.
In other countries where you have, this man has been appointed head of the economic team, that day, something will happen in the market.
Especially at the stock exchange?
Yes, stock exchange. Yes, that's where I'm referring to. So let's see what happens. Let's see if there's going to be a check in some of these things.
But you know, you talked about the figures that are not helping matters.
They are not at all.
A near 950 naira to $1 and a 25.8% inflation rate.
Yeah. That's why I said they've got a lot of job to do. It's not so much about who they are. I mean, where they went to school. And that, we've gone past that because our economy has defied those logic in the past. We've had top people handling the economy as Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, CBN governor, and yet in the last 10 years, we have been going down the slope. So we want people who can understand this economy,
the dynamics.
Not the economy of the developed world, not the economy of the World Bank, not the economy of the International Monetary Fund, but the economy of Nigeria. Why? Because a lot of the things that are happening within our economy, they are largely sabotage. Some people who want to be richer than the whole country. That's just it. Go and watch what has happened with the dollar.
They are not ready to.
They are not ready to. The round tripping was the first thing that put us in trouble. When we say some of these things, even to my own children that I consider young, they are alarmed. That so a 21-year-old now or 20 years plus, I'm telling her the story that it was after even when we got to her, dollar was in the region of 125 naira. And when are we talking? When was the time we are talking about? Some 2009, 2010. And between then and now, 13 years, see where we are.
Wale, you know, the naira cannot be propped up in value except we return to being a producing country.
Yeah.
So goods and services. The central bank must play a key part here.
Yeah.
You know.
There's no doubt about that. Let me just quickly respond to the gentleman who spoke about, you know, the subject we are discussing. There is no doubt that he's from he has an impressive academic record, and his family background, I think, is quite fascinating. His father was actually the first Accountant General, the first indigenous Accountant General of Nigeria. That was 1963. And the first managing director and vice chairman of Barclays Bank. You remember Barclays Bank?
Of
Global Standard.
Okay.
You know, so, I mean, we can't, he was actually from, it was during his time, a lot of foundations were laid for the economic transformation of Nigeria. And the nickname at that time was Headmaster, because you can't take any document to him without, if there is no costing, that document will not be there. So,
let me place a little pause because Kazim is reaching us from Kaduna.
Okay.
Kazim, I'm glad you can join us. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
My
Good
take
afternoon.
is this. So long as what is happening in Nigeria will continue in terms of not punishing anybody that is wrong. You hear someone is being indicted, you hear someone is in the court 2 years, 3 years. Look at what happened under former President Muhammadu Buhari, someone who was meant to fight corruption with all his apparatus and powers he has as president. But unfortunately, the people that he indicted, people like former governor of Plateau State and all that, they were released as pardon. So someone will do the same thing over and over again without getting any punishment. So we'll be just sticking around one corner without any progress. That's my take.
Wale, we must emphasize that we must develop the habit of punishing, as I always say, bad behavior, wrongdoing?
Absolutely.
Because the laws are there.
Yeah. If there are no sanctions for bad behavior and no reward for good behavior, the society can never make progress. And when we are talking about what we expect from this new CBN governor, it needs to rebuild the trust that has collapsed between the people and the banking sector. A lot of people don't trust the banking system any longer. Check out how many people use the ATM. You are debited. To retrieve back your money is a problem. Check out people that are being duped, and those who dupe them have accounts being run by certain banks.
As we sit here, as we all sit here,
Yeah.
I don't know when you last took money from the ATM.
Well, let me tell you that since February, they took 20,000 naira from me, one bank. I was debited. The pharmacist was not credited. Up till now, to retrieve the 20,000 naira back since February is a problem. And I checked the records. These funds run into millions. When you go to bank, you see a lot of people clean up to get back their funds, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. So it's not just about having trust in the CBN. The CBN needs to sanction erring banks. There is no politician that steals money without involvement of certain bank officials. When you are doing money laundering, drug money, those things pass through the banking system.
Yeah.
So we need to sanitize the banking system. We need to bring public trust back. What people are doing now is that they withdraw their funds. Because at the time you ask everybody to come and deposit their funds, you took the money in again, businesses collapsed, and nothing has happened since then. So the new CBN governor has a lot of things to do. But one of those things, which is very critical, is to ensure that people begin to build trust in the banking industry once again.
Doctor,
Well,
what more can we add?
what we can add is that, like you said and he said also, the CBN must look at those drivers of the economy, especially manufacturing, not just giving handouts to briefcase farmers who have gotten millions, or not billions, or trillions, and are still unable to supply us rice to crash the price. Who have gotten billions, trillions to produce cassava for our gari and all the rest, for yam, and we still can't see yam. A tuber of yam now, I'm sure you know how much it is. And this, we don't need to import things to produce.
We do
yam.
not, because we have more than enough to grow.
We need to check that instead of just giving free money to briefcase farmers. Let's do it the right way.
Especially foreign exchange. People genuinely need to import raw materials. They must have access to
Foreign exchange.
We even need
not
to
just give it to people with portfolio who go and sell.
to start looking at those raw materials that we have here and focus on them.
Yeah.
I've said this a couple of times on this program. We need Ajaokuta to work. The moment all those steel companies, they need to work so that we can begin to fabricate. All the machines they use for processing gari, for processing this, they are being brought from outside the country. Even the ones they use in the poultry, the cage for animals, they still bring them from outside the country. And these are things we can do.
Interestingly, we are
locally.
going to discuss poultry farming in the course of the afternoon. Well, quickly, in 30 seconds, the president announced a single window for Forex. Yeah. So you think the new man at the helm will go to town on that?
Yeah, I hope so. That's a very important strategic intervention, because what we find out is that a lot of people trade in Forex. That's their means of livelihood. And they are millionaires, if not billionaires. But there are people who genuinely need Forex, and they don't have access to them. Yeah. There are genuine businessmen who want to invest into production. They can't have access to loans. There are people who just get loans because they settle some bank officials and they don't necessarily need those loans. So we hope the CBN governor will sit down to do a new roadmap in order to be able to bring back Nigeria.
All right then.
Right, part of development.
At least we are retooling. Yeah. Let's retool properly.
Yeah.
To our next story, the number of supposed illegal refining sites in the Niger Delta region has been reduced by 89, we can tell you. This is according to a release by the Defense Headquarters. Now, the statement says that troops of Operation Delta Safe uncovered and destroyed 89 of such sites in the region, at least in the last 2 weeks. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, made the disclosure while giving an update on military operations across the country. In the crude oil sector, vis-a-vis broken down refineries, could we not build on the crudity to augment the refining of petroleum products, Dotun? Yes, they are illegal refining sites, and we are dealing with them.
Well, it's been said over and over that this small refineries, so-called refineries, can be used to bolster whatever we have in terms of refining.
See a site in your picture.
Yes, but what is not legal can't be legalized because it still remains illegal, no matter how hard we try. There has been that argument of making them legal and working with them. But I'm not sure that trying to convert those people to doing things the legal way
will be easy.
Will be easy. It will be in the interest of the country. Because at the end of the day, they are so used to doing things in the legal manner that it won't pay them getting small pay by buying the crude.
But you are seeing what I'm saying, you know.
I understand what you're saying. I also think we should. Because if Nigeria can't maintain its own refineries, and these guys are able to do these things that still make the vehicles to move, then they are doing something. It means that something is wrong with us as a country. But at the individual level, we are achieving success.
Yeah.
That's where I have my own issues with
Wale,
this.
there's a lot to discuss here. One of the issues, one important issue to discuss here, or to rub it in here, is crude oil theft.
Yeah.
That seems to defy solution.
You see, let me first of all say that in the past 3 months, I think there have been significant developments in terms of dealing with, crude oil theft in the Niger Delta. We need to be very frank. It has never been like this for a very long time. Almost every week, you see that, you could see the efforts of
But nobody has been brought to book.
Yeah, we'll come to that. But the fact, at least for the first time in recent years, we are seeing results that people are being arrested, boats are being destroyed and all that. A lot of things that people undermine, there are a lot of things that we undermine. You see, these illegal refineries, we need to look at them from the context of, the economic reality of our society. Why do people go into illegal refinery? First of all, you have very weak security institutions because you cannot do illegal refinery without the knowledge of the local security organizations, without the knowledge of the traditional stakeholders, without the knowledge of certain people in government.
Yeah, sorry, from the footage we saw, the clearing in the bush cannot be unknown to.
Yes, yes.
Massive. It's usually massive.
These funds that they realize, they have a way they spend these funds. And there are people that are politically exposed that are also involved. But you see,
look at the expanse. We
must admit the fact that illegal exploration of oil, production of crude oil, is a threat to humanity itself. The threat to water cycle, the threat to biodiversity, the toxicity to the soil, destruction of aquatic resources. So even for the people, the communities that host these illegal refineries, they are putting their lives in danger.
Okay.
Because the impact will be felt at one point, at one point or the other. They are going to feel the
All right. A reaction is coming from the Niger Delta. I have a Chinonso is waiting to speak with us. Chinonso, let's have a conversation. Good evening. Oh, good afternoon to you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Yeah, this is not, I'm not calling from Niger Delta. I'm calling from Niger State. Bida.
Okay.
Of the Nubian Emirates,
it sounded like Niger Delta. Okay, then.
No, Niger State did that. The ancient
Okay, go on.
Emirates in Niger State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about the appointment of the new CBN governor, or let me say acting CBN governor. But to my own
no, if he's cleared, he will not. If he's cleared, Chunan, so he will not be acting. He would be the substantive CBN boss. Okay.
I stand to be corrected. But what I want to say from my observation on my own take is that the appointments that have been carried out by Mr. President are good ones. Understand me? But I want to advise Mr. President that he should go by, what is it called? He should share it regionally. Like, it's just as if he want to go to by the step of the former president by appointing people from his own region. You understand me? Like, look at the FIRS man that was being sent packing for some kind of...
Chinonso, except that, hold on. Chinonso, you are boring another hole. We were discussing illegal refineries. Now you are bringing me back to the CBN.
I've been calling since I just got into
No, it's all right. It's okay. Right. Let's rub it in. The president, by the way, I hope you know deputy governors of CBN have been appointed. Chinonso. Thank you for your time. Yeah. So
it's a terrible thing, you know, head or tail. The community might think that, oh, they are making some funds, you know, buying cars and all that. But on the long run, they are destroying the future of those communities. And not to talk about what
the ecology and so on.
Yeah, you know, the aquatic vegetation, the toxicity, the impact on human genealogical changes and all that. So it's a very bad thing for those communities. I was there just about less than 2 weeks ago. And for about 7 hours, with a team of journalists who are going around to Focados, Bite of Biafra, and you know, I almost felt like, you know, because some of these resources have been there thousands of years, and then you just come with population, destroy everything, the vegetation, the mangrove. You are destroying the future, this environmental sustainability of the people, and to replace these resources, it will take hundreds of years. So now, apart from that, Nigeria is losing a whole lot of funds. In fact, according to 90, between 2009 and 2020, Nigeria lost about $46 billion, you know, into oil theft. So we need to put a stop to it. And I think my position is that the government has taken some steps recently by encouraging local stakeholders, you know, ocean marine services and all sort of who are involved in, assisting the security agencies to curb illegal theft of oil. I think this should continue. So at the end of the day, we can save these communities from, you know, ecological genocide.
At a time like this, you're wondering if we are not paying the price of being careless in the past.
That's exactly what is happening to us. Because it's been said, the economists know how to put it best. It is when there is scarcity of a commodity that people begin to look for those alternatives. If we had our refineries working optimally and our pipelines are properly guarded, monitored, nothing happens to them, we won't be in this.
Let me tease you a little. About 1 or 2 weeks ago, former President Obasanjo and President Bola Tinubu had a little tiff, TIFF, over the refineries becoming functional from December. The former president is saying, you are not an engineer. But the incumbent is telling him, we have engineers in the place. And they are... Me. Yeah, and they told me I should believe them.
But those engineers have been telling us for so many years.
So you don't trust them?
I don't trust them. I've said it and I'll keep saying it. Those people who are working in those places, we should take them to task. When some years back, Total came in and did turnaround maintenance, TAM, in Kaduna, what we were promised was that it would never run down again. And we have engineers in those places, all of the refineries. who are still being paid till now. Because if they are no longer being paid for not doing anything, we would have had them saying they want to go on strike, they want to destroy the whole country. So if somebody came, repair the place, put it to up to the maximum use, 100%, and handed it over to you, and as engineers, you are not able to then do some small calibration, then there is a problem. It's just like the airlines. What do? Once a year, they take their plane abroad for what they call the C check. When they bring it back, the local engineer say manage them until when they go for another, which the C check is even like it's mandatory. Otherwise, some of them don't need to go back because of the quality of care that those aircraft get here. So if you say we have engineers in those places, and somebody has come and has done a turnaround maintenance, which you confirmed was BAM, then why are we in this mess?
Well, again, you cannot miss the opportunity. Let's rub this in as well. We were told that by July, how many months ago, the new Dangote refinery will be churning out products and so on. You heard it.
Yeah. Well, I think we were hopeful that that dream will be actualized. But unfortunately, that did not happen.
But
however,
it's not bad to dream.
Yes.
Wake up.
However, looking at what we are seeing, Dangote refinery, I think is the only thing that is giving us hope, if there is any hope anywhere. Because if you look at the investment that is being put in, and if you are there, you will see the level of commitment, by all the stakeholders to ensure that. So I believe that very soon, production will start. And I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to create a kind of paradigm shift. Compared with, the first refinery in Nigeria was built in 1965. I think the last one was around 1980 or so. So we have not been able to build new ones. So if somebody has come within less than 10 years and they've given us something, I think I don't want our hope to be diminished. But we have reasons to doubt the government about its promises based on our experiences in the past. But I hope that from what we are hearing now, that even the one in Port Harcourt will start production,
by December?
By December, I think, and from calls that we are getting from people working there, I think the government is putting a whole lot of effort into it. And December will soon be here. So we'll come back here to debate it, to see whether, to be actualized.
December is almost here.
You sure? Do you share the sentiment?
Well, I hope, just like you said too, that we are going to get the thing back on stream. And I sincerely also hope that by the time we are getting the feedback on what happened to Dangote refinery, it will not be sabotage on the part of those who are civil servants who are supposed to make these things work. Because it's the back and forth. Dangote was so sure of commencing production. And then all of a sudden, all different stories here and there. I sincerely hope, like I said,
after all, at that point, the crude will be coming from the inside.
Yes, from at least it will have to be piped to that point. So hoping that it's not a matter of sabotage again. Hoping so.
But the Yorubas talk about ikonju pelu suru, haste and patience, that they work hand in hand.
They are even the same.
They are the same?
That's what the proverb says, because if you are in a haste and you still don't get there before the person who was patient.
Okay then. So let's go to our next subject matter. But before then, let's go on a commercial break. We should be back. This is Journalist Hangout, reaching you from the TVC. Please stay with us.
It's time for another insightful, exciting experience. TVC Communications announces a call for entries into the 2023 Female Senior Secondary School Debate Championship. To qualify for the first round, write an essay of not more than 400 words on the topic, Is Social Media Doing More Harm Than Good? Send your entries with your name, class, school, and phone number to Corporate Communications at tvccommunications.tv. Deadline is 17th of September 2023. Join us as we embark on this journey to expose young minds to critical thinking that can impact our world together. This project is powered by TVC Women's Network.
Right then, to our next story. You know, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka is no stranger to controversy. He has seen it all over time. His latest statement on the outcome of the 2023 presidential poll was going to set him against the major and minor commentators in our country. At Stellenbosch, that's a place in faraway South Africa, the laureate, speaking at an event titled The Lives of Wole Soyinka, organized by a group Africa in the World, said in the most emphatic fashion that the leadership of the Labour Party knows that Peter Obi, its presidential candidate, lost the February 25 election. He added the party, quote, is trying to force a lie on Nigerians, end quote. Now, obviously, this was going to provoke millions across the country. Or what do you think, Wale?
Well, I think Professor Wole Soyinka has been one of the main actors in Nigerian radical politics since 1960s. And nobody can take away his iconic milestones, you know, in the area of politics, in the area of arts, even personal integrity. In my own opinion, he remains the conscience of the nation, you know, based on his consistency and the difficulties he has passed through from the age of 20 as a Nigerian. At the time, he was in solitary confinement for 2 years. I don't think any Nigerian has ever passed through that traumatic experience before. So he's someone that commands a lot of respect.
In solitary confinement by choice?
Yes, because he was seen as supporting Biafra, you know, and he was put in solitary confinement by the military government of General Gowon. And he also said he wanted to be a non-government actor to negotiate between Biafra and Nigeria. And he sneaked all the way from Southwest, passing through, you know, the dark hours of the night, to go to Biafra to meet Ojukwu at that very difficult moment, risking his life. So for anybody who understands his history, Professor Soyinka is not a gullible person. It's not somebody you can buy off. It's not a commodity you can buy.
He's not frivolous.
He may say something you don't like, but you can't take his integrity from him. So what he has said about the last election is his opinion. Just like everyone, every Nigerian has his own opinion. You may not agree with him, but I don't think resorting to verbal terrorism is the answer. If someone has said something you don't like, engage him on the realm of ideas, on the realm of logic, and maybe you are able to defeat him. Certain things he said, which I think are factual. He said Atiku and Obi were partly responsible for their own political Waterloo because they were in one political party, but they decided to split votes into two. Can you fault that? 6 million plus 6 million would have been 12 million plus. That would have been more than what the current president, and they were in the same political party. But now, 2 broken into 3, you know, cannot be stronger than one that is whole.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a fact. And also the fact that Obi took over the labor movement, yes, but in the redefinition of labor movement, Obi is not a proletarian and even should not even have led the working class. He was not part of the NLC history that dates back to more than half a century. He was not part of any labor struggle in this country. So emerging as the presidential candidate of Labour Party does not automatically makes him, you know, a proletarian fighting for the working class. Yes, it's not known in that sense. That's the truth.
That is a bourgeoisie.
It's a bourgeoisie. It's a capitalist who is using the Labour Party as a vehicle to achieve his aim. So that one is a fact. And also the fact that Labour Party, the Labour Party eventually became regionalized. Well, you have to look at the voting pattern. Labour Party secured more votes in the southeast than any other part. Maybe not the making of Obi, but eventually that was what happened. So I think those, you may dislike, you may shout, but those are facts. So if you think you agree or you disagree, then you can take it on, based on the premise of his argument, and then you may fault his conclusion. But I think what he said, I don't think there's anything that we can categorize as an insult or it's not true. So for people attacking him that his partisan, Soyinka is not a member of APC. And he has lambasted APC on several occasions, that we have seen. So I think people should be patient, when people criticize you. We are in a democracy. If you don't like somebody's opinion, that does not mean that you must detest or hate that person. The best you can do is to engage the person, coming out with a superior argument.
Dr. The platform on which he spoke tells it all. Wole Soyinka, the lives of Wole Soyinka, the lives and times, if you like, of Wole Soyinka. He has seen it all. Remember in 1963, with a loaded gun, he went to the broadcasting house. He was not attached to any party at the time and meant to stop the broadcast, which he considered not real. So could that Wole have changed with age? You think age is a factor here?
I'm not sure.
Because some of his critics are asking, wisdom, no be age, come with age, doesn't it?
It's supposed to come with age. And what the man has said, if we put it to a debate, they are the realities on ground. You may not like...
Well, many people will not.
You may not
agree with what you're saying.
You may not like his language, but when we put all of those things down and we do analysis, the big question to ask is, are they right or wrong? I've been covering politics in Nigeria for so many years. And the expectation when the People's Democratic Party was going to have its convention to choose its presidential candidate, the months before it, was that it was going to go to a southerner. Peter Obi saw the handwriting on the wall very early and left. Because, like I also argued, if you throw open a contest in the PDP for the presidential ticket, who is likely to be able to take it from Atiku? Because that's the big question. But the question also on the Atiku side is, even if you have the capacity to take that ticket, is that justice to the southern part of the country that backed you to run when you did, even after leaving the party earlier? You came back, you were supported, you were given the Peter Obi to run with you, and he brought some
a measurable chunk,
to your tickets. You had goodwill that he brought to your tickets, and it was like, okay, if you win, maybe you do 4 years and hand over to somebody from the south. That did not work. What people were expecting, logically, was that it would go to the south. If that had happened, there would also still have been problem within the PDP, because it's not a sealed...
Also, you think?
Also, I know. Because it's not sealed. Because when you now come back and say, okay, Atiku has stepped down at that time, will and in some wiki allow a Peter Obi to emerge candidate in the PDP. I don't know if you are getting this point. There are so many. PDP as itself was at that time not a good vehicle for anybody who wanted to run. Because even if Atiku had not run at that time, Obi would not have gotten it.
Okay.
And then he knew. That was why he left. And found a platform that was ready to accept him. Because PDP was not fair. Even the APC to the sitting president also was not fair. Because he threw it open. And I knew from the onset when we started the debate on this issue that if anybody was going to get that ticket among those running, it was going to be Bola Tinubu. Because we know the capacity of these people. Whichever way you are looking at it, it was going to be the two of them in those parties. What I was expecting was that after all of it happened in the PDP, Atiku would have made a lot of concessions, and the party itself. That would have pacified people like Wike. That could have pacified somebody like Obi. And they say, okay, let's come to the table and decide who is going to be the candidate.
Yeah.
If the candidate fails, they said they wanted the national chairmanship of their party. You did not give it. So when you look at the points that Professor Soyinka made, they are quite clear. You can't have a divided house and expect to defeat somebody with a whole house and who had been preparing for this position for well over 10 years. So it's not about the attack or the rest. But for me, if you ask me, the drama is good.
Okay.
Professor Soyinka is shooting. Let them keep shooting. It's good. Everybody should be allowed to talk. It's democracy.
So it keeps,
it's just that the mob
keeps people busy.
Yes, it's just that the mob mentality where you don't even make your point, you only abuse. That's one I'm against.
Wale, but in a statement signed by the National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Pastor Obiora Ilo, the party said the literary giant may as human express his thoughts which may have been informed by emotion or narrative put to him. You felt that?
Yeah, I don't see how emotion comes to play. And saying that, express emotion does not address the issues raised. I was expecting the Labour to come out with figures, with facts. And of course, don't also forget that Professor Soyinka said something good about Obi. He said he created the momentum. And nobody can take that away from him.
Not even in the next election.
And in fact, he challenged the hegemony. A new person just coming like that and then getting, within the shortest time possible, 6.something million. That is, I mean, in a way, it's a revolutionary intervention.
We've not had it in this country
that
before.
means that there is a politician that needs to be watched, either now or in the future, that can still make an impact. So he said it, that he recognized, that significant role that Peter Obi played in the last election, which I think all of us can never throw away.
All right. Well, the future will tell. The future will tell. Dotun, I defer to you. It keeps the people busy.
It does, really.
Yeah.
And we'll keep talking about it.
Okay, then. To our next issue. Now, if the statement of the president of the Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, MDCAN, must be believed, we are in dire straits in the medical sector. Professor Aminu Mohammed, MDCAN president, alerted that for the country, it would take Nigeria 10 years to replace the more than 500 medical doctors who have migrated from our country in search of greener pastures. What more depressing details do we require to appreciate that we're in dire straits, Wale?
This is a...
But wait,
yeah.
Is the grass always greener on the other side? Do you think?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But the color of the grass there is not the same with the color of the grass here.
Oh, the shade of green on the other side is different from ours.
It will not necessarily be green, but at least people see it as not totally arid, you know.
Okay.
So I'm worried by that position, that statement of fact, because the fact is that I think we have about 24,600 medical doctors
Registered.
Yeah, 16 of them are male, and about 8,600 are female, and that gives you a ratio of maybe of about 400,000 Nigerians. You have probably about 36 doctors. So we still have a long way to go. We produce some 12,000 medical doctors every year. But if you go and interview all of them, most likely 70% of those doctors will tell you that they don't want to work in Nigeria. And if you look at what the doctors earn in Nigeria, maybe apart from neurosurgeons their salaries are higher, probably between 290 to 300,000 naira. But if you are in UK, you get some 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. That's more than 2 million naira in a month. If you are in Singapore, you get about $21,000, with another gift, that may go into around $16,000. In Saudi Arabia, if you're a medical doctor, you may get as much as $10,000, in a month. So when you compare this with what our doctors get here, it's embarrassing. And don't forget, it's not as if people have read geography, this and all that are not important. But medical doctors, they're actually fewer, and their trade has to do with life and death. So and that's why in every country, they are very, very important. Look at the population of United Kingdom that has about over 360,000 medical doctors. We are about 200 million, and we have just 24,000 medical doctors. So I think it's a huge problem that we need to. And when you look at these medical doctors, most of them prefer to stay in urban areas. Lagos has about maybe 2,561, maybe going to a little bit more now. And if you go to other states, those medical doctors, if you go to rural areas, there are no doctors at all. In my own town, there's no medical doctor. In the surrounding towns, about 6, 7, you can't find any medical doctor. Probably you'll be able to get a nurse. And even it's not, when we are talking about brain drain in the medical sector, it's not just medical doctors alone. Dentists, nurses, they are. When I was coming in
paramedics generally
this afternoon, the person that took me, I interrogated a woman, Uber. I said, okay, a woman coming to pick me. I was a mother. Okay, what course did you study? Laboratory technologies. I attended, one of the universities since 2014. No job. Then she has to take it, into Uber. If that kind of person, if I ask her, I say, but there's high demand for it. She said, I'm not aware. I don't know how to go about it. If I know how to go about it, why would I be doing this kind of job? A woman, a mother, probably with some children, So what people are going to, medical personnel are, their experiences here, it will be very difficult for us to compel them to stay in an environment that is not productive for them. And it was not like this in the 70s, in the 80s, when if you go to University of Ibadan, medical school, you see students from Ghana, from South Africa, from Saudi Arabia coming there to school. Today, we have been thrown into the backbench of medical history, and I think it's quite unfortunate. So, what the man has said is a major challenge that I hope that we will be able to, deal diligently with this issue so that we can encourage our medical doctors to find the reason why they need to stay back at home to improve the health sector.
Doctor, so we're in the wilderness, so to speak.
Well, I'm not sure that we're in the wilderness.
Okay.
I think what we need...
You see area of hope, area of light?
Yes. What we need to do is to ensure that we get the country right. Where our problem starts from, for most workers now who earn salary, is the fact that we are living in a dollarized economy where all of our spendings are done in dollar because the bulk of what we consume, they come from outside the country and we use dollar for trading. I've always asked the question, when you say somebody doesn't earn enough in the country, can the country afford to pay the person better? If, as it is now, the minimum wage is 30,000 naira. If that 30,000 naira is at the equivalent of the dollar and it is $30,000, nobody will complain.
Yeah.
So that is the first starting point for me, and which is why I always say the push by workers for more money is not the solution to our problem. Rather, it is going to add to our problem by causing inflation. So we need to get the economy right. And that is why all the way, the appointments of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the direction of the economy are being monitored. Because if we don't get that economy right, even if you decide to pay a doctor $1 million, the average doctor or the least paid $1 million, at 1,000 naira to $1, that's still about $1,000 in a month. And which to them doesn't add up to a place like Saudi Arabia where you get a minimum of $10,000, or the UK where you get it in pounds. So we must look at that area and address it, the economy, because it is not only affecting the doctors, it is also affecting those in IT. We've said it on this program before. Go and check most of the banks. The IT people are out of the country because they are being paid more. And are you going to keep me here when they need my services where they can pay me better? It's a no-no. Number two, sir, is we also need to create the atmosphere to produce more medical doctors in the country. And that is going to start with allowing the universities to be autonomous. Also, keeps contradicting itself when it comes to this issue of autonomy. And I find it difficult to understand. You said you want autonomy, but you still want government to be giving you money. So how do you do the autonomy? It means students must pay something a little more. There have been protests here and there over this issue of give us something more. And I've said it a couple of times on this program. I don't see why a law student should be paying the same tuition or fees in a university as a medical student who uses chemicals, who uses all of this. Any engineering student should not be at the same level of payment with those who are in social sciences or who are in the arts. It's great injustice to the system itself. But we've always had this push by the mob who will insist that education should be free
but
at the tertiary level.
Essentially, the institution that makes laws for our country is the National Assembly. Don't we know this much?
I don't think we need laws to regulate this thing.
Oh, really?
Because it's just a matter of what is appropriate.
Then you'll be waiting for Godot.
We may, no. It is because, okay, look at what happened in Unilag. They went from a 0.0 to 1 point. And then the students complain and say, see, no matter what, just remove something. Remove something now. So a fee that was made 20,000, they brought it down to 15,000. It's a way forward, because that university will get some more money now and be able to run better. Not a situation where a student gets into class, you say because of space, that's lecture room and hostel. You say because of the number of lecturers available, and you don't want to recruit more so that you don't create overhead.
Yeah.
So you now say we only take 50 medical students. Whereas if those things are taken care of, you get more experienced people, like the lady my colleague spoke about, my boss. They'll say, okay, you have experience. Come and teach people who are doing this area of course. You put her in, you put others in. You can graduate more people. You can produce more professionals who can be useful to the country. But even if we do that, we keep producing them without taking care of our economy so that the Naira can have more value, we are not going to live where we are.
Wale, do you know, sometimes you wonder, at close to 63 years of countryhood,
Yeah.
or is it nationhood now, we're still toddling, you know, finding it very hard to start. How did we get here? And are we really going to head back home?
I think there are so many factors responsible for where we are today. But we should ask ourselves, why do we find a situation where, look at the University of Ife. I didn't attend University of Ife anyway. Look at University of Nigeria and Soccer. Look at ABU. They were built at the time that Nigeria had regional autonomy. Why is it that up to now, no government has been able to build universities better than, those universities? Take the Cocoa House at Ibadan. Why is it that since 1959, no government in the whole of Western Nigeria has been able to build Cocoa House? Look at Odua investment that we are talking about. Still existed. How many government institutions, have existed for this long without challenges? Look at Wema Bank. So that is why most of the time we celebrate our yesterday. And we keep on saying that if we want to practice federalism, we need to practice federalism to the latter. We have to practice in reality and in practice. A situation where there is over-concentration of power. If I have gold in my town, somebody can get the license from Abuja, and then I wake up, I see somebody with a license digging gold, and I can't do anything because it comes there with soldiers. You bring a DPO from Unguru to come and be DPO in Intigidi or in Oron, So how would that kind of person understand the psychology, the sociology, and the geography of that environment? So Nigeria is a garrison state, and we are saying that.
But I hope it's not necessarily puncturing that balloon of yours.
Yeah.
In the youth service sends you from your Ogun state to, say, Sokoto state.
Yeah.
You fault that?
No. If you have regions, that does not stop people from going. Don't we have Indians coming here to work? Don't we have Ghanaians
because I'm considering sending a policeman from Sokoto to Calabar.
No, when we are talking about security, you need somebody who understands that environment. You need somebody who understands the language, the culture, the geography. You need such people to be able to police those areas effectively. And we had it before.
Maybe let me add to it. That's why they keep involving what those they call the JTF.
Yeah.
It is civilian JTF.
Who are made up of locals.
Locals. Go ahead, sir.
Look at the oil issue we are talking about in Niger Delta. Like I told you, I was there. I saw community people involved in OMS, because of their involvement in the past years, they were able to trace these illegal refineries. They were able to identify those who are involved in bunkering, those who are involved in oil theft.
Illegal bunkering.
Now, what are we talking? In the United States, each state has its own police. We claim to be copying the U.S. system. So why are we different? Why can't we, each state has its own policing, each state has its own. Don't forget that University of Ife was built by Western Nigeria, but in 1976, the military government of former President Olusegun Obasanjo took it over by decree. Ife was supposed to be the watershed of the intellectual power of regional government in Southwest. Yeah. The same thing UNN supposed to do that to the east, and then ABU to the north. But he came and then took over that, and at Ife at that time, they were studying Chui, Ghanaian language, because it's, Chui, Hausa, and Yoruba, they are the most common means of communication. So they felt that Chui was more useful than studying French. When I was at UNN my first year, German was imposed on us. We should choose between German or French. Why? Why didn't they ask me to study Igbo? It would have been more useful to me today. Because the universities are controlled by federal government. The NUC will just come with policies and all sort of things, and they don't have control over their own ideas and their own policies.
Now let's go home to our topic.
Go back to regional autonomy.
Okay.
Regions should be able to manage their resources, to manage their economy, to manage their internal affairs, to manage their politics. And I think if we can do that, there will be competition, mutual competition. And then all these kind of crises we're having that, armed ass men are going to areas, invading communities and all those things will stop. And people will be able to develop their agriculture, develop their economy. And in fact, there will be less budget meant for the federal government. Because the Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Works, Minister of Health, they will have less responsibilities. Those responsibilities will be given to the states to look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We are waiting for federal government. Ikorodu Road here. He took the current president of Nigeria, when he was the governor of Lagos, to repair Ikorodu Road. I'm not sure whether he got that money back. Ikorodu Road, federal government road, you can't touch it. For how long are we going to continue with this kind of structure? So we need to, ensure that we decentralize power and politics. And I think that is the best way that we can be able to.
So how do we stem brain drain?
Yeah, I think just like you have said, everything is tied to social, cultural, economic, and professional security. If you are paying people peanuts and they are comfortable, but the environment is not conducive for them, there is fear of light, there is fear of housing problem, there is fear of being kidnapped as a medical doctor, then people will not, they will not continue to stay in this country. They will just find out that they will be going into even the poorest countries, just because they feel they are safer in those countries than when they are in their own fatherland.
And it begs the question of, aren't Nigerian youths interested in medical studies?
There are so many who are interested in medical studies.
Okay.
If you check the records, I'm sure admission can be offered to up to 10% of those who showed interest and scored good marks to study medicine. Because of the space, limited number of lecturers. And that's why, you see, this issue of autonomy for universities will keep coming up. I like a quote somebody sent to me today from a column written by Simon Kolawole, the renowned journalist. Let me just read it. He said in his column, the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities went on strike under President Muhammadu Buhari, seeking, among other things, university autonomy. Now, the same union is rejecting university autonomy under President Bola Tinubu. That is why I think we are not yet having an honest conversation on the kind of university system we want in Nigeria. It appears to me that autonomy means funding without accountability. Pardon me.
As far as ASU is concerned.
Yes, as far as ASU is concerned. Meanwhile, the federal universities are already charging high fees without calling them tuition. And we are still thinking we have tuition-free university education. Let us sit down and reason together sincerely. Because we're not being sincere with ourselves. People want to collect money from the government, pocket it, and not account for it. So they say, keep funding us. They want to do double teaching, teach in federal universities and run to the private ones, to also earn fat salaries, where some people are paying through their noses because of the strike actions and all the rest. So the way we can do it is to ensure that we open the space more and get better funding. But that funding, from what we are seeing now in Nigeria, can't come from government. So we must, I'm not saying that, like private universities, medical students will pay 5 million, 7.5 million, 8.5 million. That's what they charge in private universities. But at least let there be something that can help the system. Let there be something that can sustain that system. It can't be all government. People make it look like when you step out of this country, education at the university level is free. It's not. It's what ASU knows. It's not free. The economy might be bad. But government has also challenged those who are specialists, the dons who are economists. Come and propound solutions. Come and give us solutions to this issue. That's what we should be engaging in, sincere conversation.
Wale and Dotun, so if we take what Professor Aminu Mohammed, the president of the Nigerian Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, if we take what he's saying, we have to wait until 2033.
Maybe not necessarily. We can, one other major problem is that a lot of people who want to study medicine don't get admitted because the spaces are not enough.
Okay.
So I believe we can do we can carry out a lot of, we can make a lot of changes.
We can do something before it's too late.
We don't need to wait for.
All right then. Let's touch the last issue for the afternoon. You know, if we believe that tomorrow will be better, we can bear the hardship of today. But for poultry farmers in our country, such a sermon does not raise chickens. Following fuel subsidy removal, devaluation of the national currency, and the attendant negative impact on poultry businesses, farmers across the country, particularly in Lagos State, have called on government at all levels to urgently prevent the imminent collapse of the poultry business in this country. A stitch in time, I'm told, saves 9 or 2.
It's a big issue. Even before the Naira became this devalued, things have gotten to a head in that sector of the economy. And the reason, primarily, is that it's a dollarized sector also. Virtually everything in that sector is imported. The feeds, the cages, and all the rest. The only things we don't import in that sector are the men who work there locally. Even now, that they produce, even now, the little that they manage to produce
can't go around.
Not that it can't go around. Nigerians can't even afford it. A crate of egg is close to 3,000 naira. And if you go by what former military president Ibrahim Babangida proposed to us, and you have 4 children, I can assure you, you may not, survive 1 week with 1 crate of egg, 30 pieces.
And Dr. the eggs are not big anymore.
They are not.
I hear you don't feed chickens well.
Well, that's what happens. Because when you have the way those things eat as they grow is massive. So what we need to do is to address the issue of local manufacturing of feeds, local production of
feeds and stuff,
and of the equipment that they use. We can do it, but we need to get it right. Because sometimes those things we are even able to produce here, they are costlier than what they import. Why? Energy. The materials you use for production locally, they are even brought in. The generator you use to power the place, they are brought in. Those things, they need power, and they need to see light in the night most of the time. Even for the safety of those who are working there because of snakes and all the rest, you need the place to be powered. So you use diesel engine to power the big ones. How do you survive? You have to keep changing your power generating sets all the time. So it still boils down to the fact that until we get our economy right, a lot of these sectors can work.
But how did we get here? How did we get here?
I can't even understand.
We got here by choice.
Well,
we chose to be here.
No. It is not all of us that chose to be here. Not all of us. It is those who had the levers of power that decided the direction in which we could go because of greed and lack of truthfulness. You know, when we were discussing the issue of the CBN, I said it. If somebody employs you, and you can't look at that person in the eyes and say, see, this is the truth. What you do is that anytime the man talks, you say, in fact, that's the best idea. Because you know that is what he wants to hear. And you know that that is what will bring money to your pocket. That's how we killed this country. Those who had the levers of power, they killed it completely.
All right, we have an interested voice from Gombe. Aliu is reaching us. Aliu, good afternoon to you. Aliu, are you there? No luck. Okay. Wale, you see, we elected to be here by choice because at independence, it would appear we knew what we wanted and we were going in a particular direction until something gave. And here we are, nearly 63 years after.
I think one of the major destabilizing factors, was the intervention of the military. No matter the challenges we had at that time, we will have been able to overcome it. And don't forget, it was the military that brought Decree 34, I think, of 1966, that the unification decree that brought civilizations, to define it in a one-dimensional way. Because the British, when they were living in 1959, they set up the Willesee Commission that went throughout all the country, and people said, look, this is the kind of system we wanted. And that was why we had 3 regions. So we should have that had high level of autonomy, control over their monetary policies, even diplomatic missions, their educational system, agriculture, So I think when you don't get the template, the architectural right, to have a very good house,
you mess the structure.
You mess up the structure. So on the poultry farmers, they claim they lost about 30 billion due to the forensic swap that was brought in by the CBN governor, the former CBN governor. And I think that is a lot of money. And just like my colleague said, access to egg or chicken is a huge problem. Some people don't eat chicken now, maybe unless it's a festival period. And we should not forget that when we are talking about cognitive reasoning, the quality of our brain, there's a link between the nutrition you eat and mental stability. So our younger people, especially children, need to have access to eggs because it contains, vitamins that are relevant for the development of the human brain. And that's why you see developed countries, Singapore, China, when you look at the nutrition, when you go for breakfast, in a British home or even Singapore, you see almost about 15 items. Mushroom, this, that, vegetables.
Well,
but here...
The idea is not to humor you. The idea is that in prisons overseas, they eat well.
They eat well.
And
but
that,
here...
And that is why we always have the saying over there. I want chicken and rice, not rice and chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken and rice.
Yes, because chicken is the main food.
Okay.
So if we don't have quality food, we are not going to have a productive human resource base.
What's your attitude towards the penchant of Nigerians for imported chickens and, frozen foods?
Because sorry to say, we don't have, homegrown agrarian economy that can satisfy the yearnings of Nigerians. How long do you need to keep a chicken to be mature? Just 18 weeks. 18 weeks. Now, you have 774 local governments, and we can't point to one that is into effective poultry management. If you have chicken, there's the bigger ones, they can lay as much as 250 eggs in 1 year. One chicken can hatch, let's say, 6 to 12 eggs in 1 year. So what is the magic that we cannot be one of the major producers of poultry in the world? Indonesia is one of the biggest producers of eggs. China produces about 490 billion of eggs. So what is our problem? That we get budget. We are talking about palliatives now. We are talking about giving 80,000 people to people. We are not talking about investing some of them into poultry in local governments. If each local government invests about just 10 million into poultry or 20 million naira, we are going to see the impact. Because instead of building, superstructure, you want to build flyover bridges, you want to build that, give people food, let them eat. Like Yoruba people will say, once people can feed, there will be less, in their rancor. So I think that it's a shame that Nigeria, we don't have a viable, poultry industry. It's calling on the federal government to assist them, but not just the federal government alone. The local governments, the state governments, these palliatives that has been given to them, they should invest some into agriculture. Something we can see the impact in the next few months.
Doctor, not too long ago, the former president, the last but one, shut our borders, evidently to encourage homegrown things like stuff like this. Mm-hmm. But we missed the message?
We didn't even get the message at all, because that was not what to do. And I will take it from one of the questions you asked. That's
sorry, just a minute. We don't want to keep Stephen in Bayelsa waiting. Stephen, good afternoon to you. I greet you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I greet you too, Citizen Jones. I really appreciate your conversation, and I'm following it up.
Yeah.
And the two gentlemen with you, they are saying things the way it needs to go. Now, coming to the issue of this poultry, I think this is where the Ministry of Agriculture, both the federal and the state, needs to come into play. Because, as I'm telling you the truth, a bag of feed is now going more than 10,000 naira. And you ask yourself a simple question. Are you going to be giving 10,000 naira to feed than thinking of your own stomach? An average person in Bayelsa cannot even eat a good food properly. And you're not thinking of giving some number of beds, 10,000 naira, like a week. It might not even be up to a week for this poultry product, for these beds. And like one of your colleagues said, the way they eat food, most especially broilers, you imagine whether you are plucking money from the tree or what. They eat like, it's unimaginable. The way they eat, most especially when they are like from maybe 3 weeks old, the rate they eat. So I agree that the state needs to come into play, because a smallholder farmer, it's like we're running out of business, because I'm into the business itself, and my money is not even coming out. You sell your product, and at the end of the day, your money, you might not even see the money that you invested into at the first place. You pump in money. It's only the people that, to some extent, that do layers, that lay egg, that may likely
thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. We are sympathize. It's crazy.
No, it is really. The question you asked the other time, that's local consumption.
Yeah.
You know that it's the ones that are brought in, they are cheaper than what we have here locally. Are cheaper. Because by the time you take the one that you produce here and you slaughter it, you find so many body parts that you don't want to touch because there is no meat there. But when you bring in the one, you either go for, you are the one that will decide what you want, whether it's the lap, whether it's the wing. You are the one, so you know what you want, and you get it. So it's cheaper. That's the truth.
And the imported one.
Yes, the imported ones.
So
cheaper.
we're in trouble.
That's what this man just said. When you go and buy a bag of feed, and under 4 days they have finished consuming it, before you now grow them from that week 3 to week 14 to week 18, then you are in trouble. So they don't add up. What government needs to do, and we have been saying this for long, is not to give money to briefcase farmers.
Otherwise, throw money at almost every problem.
You just look at what we had about rice in the last 4 or 5 years. Indeed, by now, I was thinking that rice would be about 2,000 naira per bag.
You know, the production of lake rice between Lagos and Kebbi State gave me hope. I thought we were going to go somewhere.
Yeah, but it's still expensive because the cost of production is. That's what we need to address. Until when you go and check your dollar, vis-a-vis what we use for cultivation and then farming generally, we can't get it right. Government cannot go and bring in feed that is maybe worth about 10,000 and be given to farmers at 1,000. Where will the subsidy? Where is that subsidy again?
That's
another name.
Yeah.
So we must start producing here all those feeds that we use.
Because we can produce them.
We can produce them.
The materials are here.
Ensure that all the equipment needed for the production, we get them from here. I have a friend who is into farming in Osun State. He was going to bring in an equipment to grind plantain to flour.
Okay.
So he said one day he just went out in Oshobo and was taking a bottle of beer. Then he saw one man across the road who does the engine for grinding pepper.
Okay.
He now went to him and said, I want something to do this. The man said, if you want it, I will take this amount of money and I will produce it for you. He said, are you sure? Because they've tried some other people who could not. He said, 3 days. And he did it.
So it is possible.
It is possible. That's what we are saying. It is just for us to provide the environment, enabling environment. Ensure that there is power 24/7. Even if it can't be 24/7, let people get it at 18 hours and be sure that it doesn't cut their throats.
All right, let's take our last call from Bola in Ekiti, Lagos here. Bola, how are you? Welcome.
I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I would like to contribute to this poultry farming issue.
Go on.
Like our president, when he was campaigning. I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Go on. Ignore that. Go on.
Yeah, like our present president was campaigning the other time when he was talking about farming, planting agbado, planting this thing. You see, there's no how Nigerian can get out of this shit in this poultry farming issue without going back to farm to plant agbado, that is to plant maize. The major problem we have in this country is the maize and corn we are planting is not enough. It's not enough. So even for human consumption, it's not enough.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Wale, so in taking this home, what we need, almost everything we need is there.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk about difficulty in importing poultry, the feed, the machines and so on. Everything here.
Everything is here. If you go to some of our universities, the engineering department, there are a lot of prototypes that they have designed, waiting to be harnessed, and turned into all those big machines you are talking about. This collaboration between the academic community and industrial, sector of the country. So, but in Nigeria, there's no collaboration between our university system and our industry.
Well, so, do you think the system the university system is reaching out to them?
I think,
because it's a two-way street.
Yeah, I think it's a three-way thing, really. Okay. The government, the private sector, and then the university. There should be harmony. It should not just be strike, as to strike all the time.
That's the point.
There should be harmony about industrial development of the country, and the university have a very important role to play. Go to engineering. I did a story on that before. Go to IFE everywhere. UNN, the engineering department, they have designed so many machines. People come from abroad to take that prototype, develop it, and then turn it into finished products and come and sell to us.
Doctor, we must go home. So
yes, we will.
How do you take this home?
Like you said, we have a lot of these things just waiting for us to tap. Just about 2 weeks ago, I'm sure if you go back to BBC and some other medium in Nigeria, 2 students of a secondary school here in Lagos went outside the country and won a competition on water purification, because they were able to produce a prototype that was accepted. Those are the kind of brains we have in-house that we are not tapping.
Okay.
We need to tap them.
And I'm told on that note that the worst form of cowardice is knowing the right thing to do and not do them. I know we can do more than we are attempting to do. That will just about do it on the program this afternoon. But let me thank Wale Adeoye for your time. Many thanks. Dr. Oladipo, many thanks too.
Thank you for having me, sir.
That's our show. Our backroom boys are saying thank you for watching. The program returns, the regular episode of the program returns tomorrow at 5 in the evening. You may watch a repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.
It's the Premier League all on DSTV. All the goals, all the clashes, all the moments. All of Rashford, Salah, and Saka.
This start is getting
all
better.
in the language of your choice. All in HD. Available on all this bouquet to choose from. To watch on all these devices. Stay connected for all the action. Get DSTV with an HD decoder. Plus dish plus 1 month confirmed for 18,500 Naira. It's the Premier League. All on DSTV.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
It's time for another insightful, exciting experience. TVC Communications announces a call for entries into the 2023 Female Senior Secondary School Debate Championship. To qualify for the first round, write an essay of not more than 400 words on the topic, Is Social Media Doing More Harm Than Good? Send your entries with your name, class, school, and phone number to Corporate Communications at tvccommunications.tv. Deadline is 17th of September 2023. Join us as we embark on this journey to expose young minds to critical thinking that can impact our world together. This project is powered by TVC Women's Network.
Hello, NIDA Impact lovers. We have good news for you. In the quest to keep Nigerians abreast of the happenings in the digital space, NIDA Impact, a flagship TV program of the National Information Technology Development Agency, is now showing here on Television Continental. It is, as always, educative, informative, and innovative. NIDA Impact. Keep a date with NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
Have you had a hard time with taxes and understanding tax administration in Lagos State and the complex nature of Nigerian tax law? Do you know what agency or tier of government collects the various types of taxes? Have you ever found yourself asking any of these questions? Join us for your favorite program,